My name is Alara. I was always busy. I had 2 part-time jobs. I worked at the grocery store in the morning. I worked cleaning offices at night. I needed the money for my small room. My life was a chain of work and sleep. I did not have time for other things. I lived in a tall old building. My room was small, but it was on the top floor. I liked the rooftop. I often went there after my night job. I liked to see the city lights. They were quiet and far away. They made me feel less alone. One warm night, I was on the rooftop. I drank my cheap tea. I looked at the city. Then I saw him. He was on the rooftop of the new modern building across the street. His building was much taller than mine. It was very expensive. It was a famous building in the city. He was not working. He wore a fine dark suit. He stood by the glass edge. He looked at the city too. He was very still. He looked like a king on his castle. I watched him every night. He was a rich mystery. I called him the man in the suit. He was always there when I finished work. I learned his routine. He came out at midnight. He stayed for 1 hour. Then he went back inside. I knew he was from a different world. My hands were rough from cleaning. His hands, I imagined, were clean and soft. But we both looked at the same quiet stars. He never looked at my building. He looked only at the distant lights. I stayed hidden behind the large water tank on my roof. I watched him. One night the air was very cold. I pulled my thin coat tight. I saw him shiver a little. He did not go inside. He stayed. He looked troubled. His silence felt heavy. I wanted to help. I had nothing to give him, only my quiet space. I slowly walked to the edge of my roof. I moved into the light. I did not hide. I stood there, looking at the city. I was visible to him now. I felt his head turn. He saw me. He saw the light from the street lamps on my face. We stood there, 2 small figures on 2 different roofs. One poor, one rich, both watching the night. He did not wave. He did not speak. But he did not look away quickly. He just looked. His eyes were the only thing I could see clearly. They were dark and serious. I gave a small, slow nod. A quiet hello from my world to his. He paused. Then he raised his hand slowly. He did not wave, but he put his hand on the glass edge of his roof. A quiet hello back. We shared the silence for the rest of the hour. When he finally went inside, I felt a new warmth. My empty life had a quiet connection now. The next morning I was working at the grocery store. It was hard work. Moving heavy boxes. My back hurt. The store manager walked in with a very tall man. The tall man wore an expensive suit. He looked exactly like the man in the suit, but he was closer now. The manager was excited. He said, "This is Mr. Croft. His family owns this building. He is inspecting the properties." Mr. Croft looked around the old store. His eyes were cold. He did not look at the vegetables. He looked at the peeling paint. He looked at the leaky ceiling. Then, his eyes met mine. I was wearing my stained work apron. My hair was tied back tightly. I was holding a mop. His eyes changed. They became a little softer, but only for a second. Then they were cold again. He did not show any sign of recognition. I knew it was him. Daniel Croft, the second-generation heir. The difference between our two worlds was loud in the small store. He was the owner. I was the cleaner. He looked away. He said something very short to the manager. The manager looked worried. Later that week, a notice came to my building. The notice said the old building would be sold. The new owner wanted to renovate the whole area. I had to move out in 2 months. I felt a fear in my stomach. Where would I go? I knew it was him, his family, his company. He was not just rich. He was the reason my safe, small world was breaking. That night, I went to the rooftop. I did not hide. I stood at the edge, under the pale moonlight. I felt angry and sad. He came out. He saw me immediately. He stood very still. I looked straight across the dark space at him. I did not wave. I did not nod. I just looked at him with hard eyes. I was saying, I know who you are. I know what you did. He walked slowly to the edge. He stood by the glass. He looked troubled again. He put his hands in his pockets. He looked at me for a long time. Then he slowly took his phone out. He did not call. He turned the screen on. He held it up. The screen showed a large, typed message. I read it in the dim light.
I am sorry. I did not know it was your building. I did not know you lived there.
I shook my head. A strong, silent no. It does not matter if you knew. It is still your world that breaks mine. I took my own phone. It was old and cracked. I typed a simple message. My home is gone. I held it up. The light from my cracked screen was weak. He looked at my phone. His shoulders dropped a little. He looked down at the ground. He looked like a statue. I felt a small, sharp victory. I had made him feel the weight of his world. After a few minutes, he looked up again. He held his phone up.
I can help you. I can buy you a new place, a better one.
I turned my back to him. I did not need his charity. I needed my life. I walked back to the water tank and sat down in the cold shadow. I drank my tea. I looked away from his building. The light on his roof felt cold now. Days turned into weeks. I found a new room. It was smaller and darker. I had to pay more. I felt tired all the time. I did not go to the rooftop. I was afraid to see him. I did not want his pity. One evening I was cleaning an office downtown. I was mopping a long, empty hallway. I felt very alone. I was tired of cleaning the rich world. The hallway lights suddenly went off. Everything was dark. Then the emergency lights came on. They were red and weak. I heard a small sound. A door opened down the hall. Daniel walked toward me. He was wearing his suit. He had a large, simple envelope in his hand. He looked very serious. He stopped 10 feet from me. He did not come closer. He slowly put the envelope on the clean floor. He pushed it with his foot toward me. I stopped mopping. I watched the envelope slide across the tile. I bent down and picked it up. It felt thick. I opened it. Inside, there was a key and a long typed contract. The key was to a large, new apartment in a different part of the city. The contract said, "This is a gift. No rent. Sign this paper." I looked at the contract. My hand felt cold. It was a beautiful, easy solution, but it felt like a cage. It was his money, his control. I looked up at Daniel. He stood tall in the dark, red hallway. He was offering a life. His eyes looked hopeful. I slowly tore the contract in half. The sound of the paper tearing was loud in the quiet hallway. I put the torn paper pieces back into the envelope. I put the key on top of the torn contract. I pushed the envelope back to him with my foot. It slid back across the floor. I did not speak. My action was my loud voice. I do not take gifts. I do not need your money. He looked down at the envelope. His face became pale. He did not expect this. He looked surprised. Then his eyes changed. The surprise became a deep, quiet respect. He looked at my tired hands holding the mop. He looked at my straight back. He looked at the strength in my eyes. It was a look of new interest. He picked up the envelope slowly. He did not touch the key. He put the envelope inside his suit jacket. He gave a single slow nod.
I understand your strength.
He turned and walked back down the dark hallway. I watched the expensive fabric of his suit disappear. I felt alone again, but I felt a strong pride. My hands were tired, but my spirit was free. I would find my own way. I worked harder. I took extra shifts at the grocery store. I cleaned 2 more offices. I was exhausted, but I was paying for my own small, dark room. I did not go to the rooftop. I did not want him to see my struggle. One evening, I went to my small, dark room after a long shift. I was too tired to cook. I sat on my bed. I looked at the wall. Then I heard a sound. A small knock on my old, thin door. Knock, knock. I opened the door slowly. Daniel stood there. He was wearing a simple jacket. No suit. He looked tired too. He held a large brown bag. He did not push the bag toward me. He held it out. He spoke. His voice was very soft.
Eat. This is for you, simple food.
He paused. He looked at the floor. Then he looked at my eyes.
I was wrong. Before, take this.
I hesitated. It was food, not money. A simple, honest need. I slowly reached out and took the bag. It was warm. I smelled soup and fresh bread. I gave a small nod, a quiet thank you. He did not leave. He stood straighter. He looked serious again. He spoke clearly, slowly.
I need help for a new work project.
He paused, letting the words sit in the quiet air.
You are strong, very strong. I need that for the project.
He reached into his jacket pocket. He took out the key to the new, brighter apartment.
This is not a gift. This is pay. Your work is worth the key. It is a job.
I looked at the key in his hand. A job, a project partner, not a charity case. He respected my need to be independent. I looked straight at him. I spoke clearly, matching his serious tone. I will work. I will not take it for free. I took a breath. My voice was firm. I will pay the rest. He read my promise in my eyes. He gave a quiet, happy smile. He did not disagree with my terms. He respected my strength more than his money. He reached out his hand. He put his hand on mine. It was a quiet agreement, a contract of respect. He left the apartment door. I closed the door. I ate the warm soup. It tasted like hope. A few days later, a small delivery came. It was not the key. It was a large box of new cleaning tools and supplies. All the best brands. A note was taped to the box. The note was simple. Daniel's writing.
Project start. My company needs a manager for a small property maintenance team. You know how the work must be done. Your strength is the best. The apartment is part of the salary. Your work pays the rent.
I looked at the note. I was not just a cleaner anymore. I was a maintenance manager. My hard work, my long experience in cleaning, was now a valued skill. I moved into the new place. It was clean and bright. I started my work. I checked the small apartment building. I hired 2 people for the cleaning work. I managed the team. I was working for him now on a fair contract. I was a partner managing a real business need. The first night in the new place, I went to the rooftop. The moon was bright. I felt peaceful. He was there. He wore his simple jacket. He stood at the edge. He was waiting for me. We did not talk about the project. We did not talk about the money. He did not ask how the team was. He showed his trust. We just stood side by side, looking at the stars. He moved his hand. He took my hand. It was not a touch of pity. It was a touch of respect. My hand, rough from hard work, now held the hand of the owner. He respected my skills. I respected his choice to use his power to build my worth. We were 2 people standing on the same level of purpose. Our connection was built not on his money, but on my independence and his respect for my competence. It was a quiet, strong, and true beginning. It was our story. The light on the rooftop was finally ours.